Hello, I'm at 4722 Greylock Street. We are downstairs in the basement. There's two cleanouts. There's one that's kind of in the center of the unfinished room, and we're in the back. This is where they had a repair done at one point. We're just doing a preventative maintenance and a sewer scoping today. I did scope the line already, and there was roots, so then I ran my 5/8 cable multiple times. It is a pretty long line, so it might be a long video, and at some point I might have to run water to try to help push my camera out. But anyway, we're looking at PVC right here. It is white PVC up top. I think it's just kind of dirty. You can kind of see. Let me go. We're going to push it out further. I'm going to flush the toilet to rinse the head of the camera off. Or maybe let me just pull it back. Much better. There we go. I'm also going to zero out our distance reader on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. And there we go. We got white PVC here. This is the repair that was done. You can clearly see the concrete work that was done on top of it. Was a collapsed line at one point. And then we transitioned to cast iron around 11 feet. Cast iron looks to be in pretty good shape. I'm not seeing much of any evidence of any rot. There was some scale, so you might see some loose minerals sitting at the bottom. We'll do a better job of flushing that out. That's just the mineralization that occurs in the cast iron just naturally over time. Nothing to worry about. Very, very normal. It does make it kind of bumpy in the road going out to the street. Right here we do have our other clean out joining. If I were to run water, it would spill out right there. Which we might do that in just a moment to try to keep the head clean. And to help push out. If there is any evidence of rot starting, it would be in this section. Luckily my camera is not dipping down, so that doesn't mean there's really much going on, but at some point 10, 20, 30, 40 years later, it seems like this spot might eventually give us some trouble. Alright, right here at, we're going to call it 51 feet, we do have an offset. It does make going through with 4s really difficult. 3s go through really fine. You'll have a little bit of pooling water there. There were roots. It looks like I got them really well. Or, got them pretty good. Give me just a second to hop over here. And now we're in clay. And we'll be in clay throughout the rest of the line here. A little bit of roots left over, but we do have minor to moderate root intrusion in various spots up to about 80 feet, and then it clears up after that. We do see a little bit of separation, another offset right here. We're going to call that 62 feet with some root intrusion. Looks like I got the roots really well there. And then we have another offset at 65 feet with more root intrusion. Looks like I got those really well as well. It's just some of the roots that I cut up I did not wash out. I can only run one sink while I'm doing the job or doing the cleaning. And that sink doesn't have very much pressure. I did flush the toilet a few times. Let me go flush the toilet and start running a sink now. There's no bellies. Those offsets had a little bit of pulling in there. Pulling water at the bottom of the, right where the offsets were, which is kind of normal. I'm just gonna note those offsets at this time. This line's still cleanable, so for gardens, we still say that it's probably good for a while. If you're ever not able to get 3-inch blades through there, then we would recommend getting that repaired at that time. Let me go upstairs, flush the toilet. I would normally pause the video, but my app's doing some funny stuff today, so we're just going to let it ride. Sorry for the time. I will come back in this video to kind of show you how everything looked. I do say around 80 feet it was really hard to push out, so we're just going to let the water run for now. We're going to push out, I'll turn the water off, and we'll come back as well. Most of our root intrusions in areas of concern are about to stop. Looks like, you know, we're under the street now. The sewer line for the city is on the far side of the street, so it just makes for an extra long line. But there's no roots for the most part throughout here. So any problematic areas is the cast to clay transition up to around, I'll say about 80 feet. I'm gonna go flush the toilet one more time. That's how I was able to get out the last time. I'm gonna piggyback off that as a ride to the city. Okay, so we're looking at the city at 138 feet. I would say from the inside clean out, the one that we're not cleaning from, you might get it in 120. I will let the customer know that the cable comes in traditionally 120 feet, and it's technically an upcharge for going farther because we have to add more cable, but I'm not going to do that at this time. I'm going to go shut the water off so we have a better clear view as we come back. All right, thank you for your time. We'll start to slowly pull back. Water will continue to run for probably another minute or so, so I apologize for that. But there were some roots here on the top, but the city connection looks to be in pretty good shape. They've obviously put some sort of plastic liner or replaced the drain that it is, because it looks like I'm looking at plastic on the city side. Whereas the residential is clay, it appears. So you can kind of see the roots right there. Maybe the most minor of offsets. And in my first video, there was not water really there. So wouldn't consider that pulling up there. I think it's just kind of the water's still running and it kind of just appears that way. The only pools of water that were standing in the first video when I saw the roots were at those little minor offsets that I've already noted. Those minor offsets, more about the risk is more about them catching toilet paper with the lip of the fitting as opposed to the water setting there. Those offsets will eventually get worse. Anytime a technician can't clean the line, that's whenever it's time to repair it. And obviously repairing it would fix any potential problems, but it was pretty serviceable today. So 138 feet from the far clean out to the street. All this will be noted on the invoice summary, which will be visible to future technicians. And I will have a text summary explaining all this as well. So the next guy who comes out here, he'll know how long he's got to go. He'll know he got a long line of cast to get through it first, and that the cast of clay to about 80 feet is the spot they really want to focus a lot of their attention on. Those were the roots were the most grown. Those roots at the very end, I'm not even sure they're still growing anymore, but definitely need to go all the way to the end as well. So it's nice to know that we have a little bit of extra long line. Camera, if you are concerned about anything that ever a technician tells you something doesn't seem right, a camera is always the way to go. However, I would just recommend doing preventative maintenance for the time being once a year. We don't know how fast these roots are growing. He said it's been about 3 years since he's gotten his line snaked. He knows a decent amount of them. But you definitely don't want the roots to grow too much. You never know year to year if one's going to, if some tree roots are going to be a bit more aggressive in their growth. So all we're seeing is just really minor root intrusion. We'll eventually come back to the, so those are the roots that I cut out that I got to flush out. Once I put the cap back on this clean out, we will purge the system. I just don't have enough water flow. Looks like I cleaned that offset really good. These offsets were the ones where the roots like growing down the pipe. And the roots that you just saw, they are disconnected. I just got to purge the system with water in just a few moments after this video. And that other offset, it looks like it's a cast of clay at 50 feet, 52 feet, something like that. It's a long cast iron section if you're cleaning from the back end, just saying. I would actually probably recommend cleaning from the one in the middle from now on. That would, the farther out your blades get from the machine, the less torque it has. So you have to take more time to be careful, or if somebody's not paying attention, they might miss a spot due to that. So having a shorter route might save you money, as well as it might save you some time and maybe have a more effective cleaning. I did run this line 3 times today just to make sure we got as many of the roots as we could. Again, all I could have on was the bathroom sink. Whereas if you have the other clean out where you're cleaning from, you can run everything else in the house to help push the stuff out. My name is Caleb. Thank you for your time. If any other questions, feel free to give Garvin Sewer Service a call. By the way, this is because the darkness on this line is because there's kitchen runoff right here. A lot of black, black sludge. It's kind of hard to get that. It's what's making the camera dirty. So no worries there, though.